Tash, Zack, and their uncle Hoole are on the run from evil Imperial scientist Borborgimus Gog. The only place to hide is on Nespis 8, an abandoned space station. There used to be a giant Jedi library on Nespis 8. According to Devi, the library is still there, but it's cursed and haunted by the ghost of a Jedi. If they can find the library, maybe Tash and Zack can find a way to stop Gog. But something evil dwells on Nespis 8, and it's much scarier than a Jedi ghost.
Hello, younglings, and welcome to Padawan Library, the Star Wars Junior Novel Podcast. I'm, of course, Levi Paratic, and with me, as always, Tim.
Hey, it's me.
And this week, young Jedi learners, we are leaving Last of the Jedi for Ghost of the Jedi, the Galaxy of Fear number 5.
The Last of the Jedi will one day be a Ghost of the Jedi.
Yeah, he certainly will be, so he'll be one with the Force, unless he's, still alive.
Yeah,
he could be.
That's possible. We're delving into Galaxy of Fear again. It's been since October.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into it.
I definitely had forgotten things about this
series. It did a decent job reminding me, so I felt like I wasn't confused, but yeah.
So, first thing I wanted to mention on this is sometimes you're on Facebook and stupid ads or stories that they think you'll like will pop up.
Uh-huh.
And I saw two that I thought were interesting that I wanted to at least share. And the first one was that Disney considering retconning current canon to make another sequel trilogy, not of course related to the new one. That was
That's
the first.
Not
story
actually going to happen. That
but then the second story is mildly connected to that, because the second story is Disney possibly interested in producing George Lucas' sequel trilogy.
I think neither of those are remotely true.
You never know. I doubt.
Where did you see this? Right. What was the source?
It says random things that pop up on Facebook. There's random sponsored things, like that.
Well, that for sure is fake.
You can't trust any of them. But
why are you even bringing it up?
I just thought it was interesting. Sometimes, Disney, they put out rumors just to gauge opinions.
This is the only thing that could happen. I think the only thing that could happen is a comic book or novel adaptation of the treatments, of the George Lucas treatments. I think that is the only remote possibility, is for something that happens with those specific things. So it's I don't know, people need to move on with their lives. I know we host a Star Wars podcast, but Jesus Christ, just watch other movies, read books. It doesn't need to be your whole life.
Doesn't need to be Star Wars books.
That's what I'm saying. Read books. I'm not talking about Star Wars books. And I love Star Wars. I'm not actually I'm in a good groove with the show right now. I'm enjoying myself. Mm-hmm. But come on, move on. I hated Rise of Skywalker. That was 6 months ago. And I know I joked about that and Picard being the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it was a joke.
It was the kickoff to a very bad year.
So did you, speaking of Picard, by the way, I've been watching Star Trek Discovery, and surprise, surprise, I really like that show. It's like
you've seemed impressed by it.
Yeah, no, like I have some issues with the ending of season 1 that I won't get into because it's too boring for people that aren't familiar with it. Like, there's a big twist that happens near the end of season 1 that I think doesn't work at all. But overall, really like the entire new cast. I think it has a pretty cool vibe. Feels like Star Trek. And yeah, so much better than Picard. Just so much better. I don't know. And that show like gets lots of hate, so I'm kind of surprised by that, honestly, because like as far as the early going of a Star Trek show, it's like pretty good. Because like the first season of Next Generation is like one of the worst things ever made, and like first season of Deep Space Nine is boring, and I don't care about Voyager at all or Enterprise. Sorry, guys. So anyway, whatever. Who cares?
I forgot Enterprise even existed.
Yeah, well, most people do.
Well, speaking of new shows, I know one of your greatest disappointments of Picard was its Netflix-esque lighting or overlighting.
Well, it wasn't quite Netflix-like, but yes, it was the aesthetic was bad. It was generic kind of network television lighting. I don't. Netflix is a different issue, but yes.
Yeah. Well,
what about?
I did watch a show with some good lighting, and that was the pilot to Perry Mason.
Oh, I still haven't watched that show yet.
I will. I'm trying to crank it out real quick because, of course, because of HBO Max, HBO is getting rid of HBO Go, the cable service provided, app for HBO. They're ending support of that on July 31st, so I'm trying to see if I can't get Perry Mason out of the way.
Well, it's not done yet, right?
I know. I think there's other ways I can access it with my parents' cable login, but
yeah, and I thought it was HBO Now was going away, not Go.
No, it's Go. It's Go.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Now is the one you get rid of because that's the standalone one.
Yeah, Roku emailed me and was just like, "Hey, they're getting rid of HBO Go. We wrote HBO a letter asking them not to." And
those two guys are like the Roku and Warner Brothers need to get it together because HBO Max is not on Roku, and it is maddening to me. I have HBO Max. It's a fine enough service. I would really like it if I were able to watch it on my television. I have to use my laptop, which is fine. I watched Michael, the Nora Ephron movie with John Travolta over the weekend on HBO Max.
I saw you would watch that.
Yeah, a classic.
It was for a podcast.
Yeah, it's a blank check. One of the great podcasts, one of the great American podcasts. They're covering Nora Ephron, so I had to watch it.
I always confuse that movie with Phenomenon.
Yes! Same thing! They came out right at the same time, and they're both weird supernatural John Travolta things. It's his post Pulp Fiction, his Pulp Fiction comeback, and then what he did with that is so weird.
It is very
well, because he does Get Shorty right after, and you're like, okay, cool. Get Shorty is a really good movie, and then just a string of movies that were big hits. He was a movie star, but no one remembers or cares about.
Right, because I remember that both Phenomenon and Michael were two movies that my parents definitely rented. And
how about The General's Daughter? Or
what is that? I don't recall that one at all.
These movies all made $70 to $100 million. It's so weird. This is all stuff I learned on the Blank Check episode, so go listen to that. But it was it was so weird. It's just a very strange run of movies. He's a strange career in general, but anyway, So HBO Max for watching something like that, fine. I like watching things on a TV.
I agree.
I just don't like my eyes being that close to a screen.
I agree.
I read this book on the internet because these books are obscenely expensive on the internet.
Yes, they are.
So I did not buy this. I don't own this one, so I had to find an illicit way of reading it. And I just finished reading it, and I was staring at my computer screen for an hour and a half, and my eyes really hurt. So, same thing when I have to watch something on my computer. Let me watch it on a TV. Roku. Warner, whoever it is, AT&T, I should say.
I agree.
Whoever's the holdup, it's probably both of them. Need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah. I will say I have not yet had to read a book for this podcast online, but I will probably have to read it for book 10 of Galaxy of Fear, which doesn't even exist anywhere to buy online.
I know. It's like anytime I've seen it pop up, it's going for like $60 or something.
It's so much. I can't
I'm not
believe
spending
how much
that.
it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of books being expensive, I decided to look up the Jude Watson's first book series, The Brides of Wildcat County.
Yeah.
And the first book, there's 2 on eBay. One for $6, one for $30. Book 2, $10. All right. Book 4, $10. All right. Book 3, $130. I know.
What is this?
I know. I was like,
we should read some non-Star Wars Jude Watson before the end of the podcast.
I agree.
She won like some. I can't remember which award. She won an award for one of her Judy Blundell books. It's like what I did and how I lied might be what it's called.
Yeah, how I got away with it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out like 2008.
And it definitely one of those like middle school like junior novel awards, like something that makes it seem prestigious and like they may read it in schools one day.
Yeah, so we got to read that one and maybe like read another like the first book in some like original series of hers.
Or we go deep into the 39 steps.
I'm never reading those. she wrote a couple of them, and there's like 50 other writers. Like I just don't,
right.
I don't
know what. I wouldn't even know where to start with those. Okay. Anyway, way off. Perry Mason, I'll say, was fine. Well shot show. Yeah. Well lit show. Good music. Pilot didn't blow me away, but there's potential, so...
That's my general impression of the impressions of the show. That's why I haven't jumped on it. You know, I was really excited for it because I love Matthew Rhys, obviously, from The Americans, and I love the period and setting. You know, I will watch practically anything set in the first half of the 20th century. Like, just... I don't care. Doesn't matter. But, like, I don't know. It looks also like, it's like, why are we trying to make, like, Perry Mason, like, dark and, like, it's Perry Mason.
Well, also, too, I know really nothing about Perry Mason other than that he's a lawyer, and he's not a lawyer in this show.
Isn't he a PI?
Investigator.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Then,
like, it's like... The gritty, humorless origin of Perry Mason is like what they're going
Such a weird choice. Like, I'm not saying it can't be a good show, but like it sounds like it's just Perry Mason because it's a name and they could sell it more easily, which seems insane because Perry Mason is only a brand to like 78-year-olds.
I know.
Like, it's like who, like, whatever, you know, no shots, Raymond Burr forever. I love Matthew Rhys, though. I know that was originally developed as a project for Robert Downey Jr. to star.
Oh, right, yeah, I did read that too. So,
and it's like
that's interesting.
That would have been more interesting. And I love Rhys, but like Downey needs to do something interesting with his career.
His post Iron Man career.
Yeah, it's time.
Otherwise, he's just. I mean, well, he tried doing Doolittle. I guess he did Doolittle over Mason.
I don't know. What a maniac. Anyway, I've just been watching lots of Star Trek. I've been reading Star Trek books.
Did you, this is not Star Trek related or Star Wars related, but did you check out Ringo's 80th birthday?
Yes, of course I did. Listen, you know, we're both big Beatles fans. You're like a bigger Ringo fan than you are a Beatles fan, I feel like. You like Ringo. You think like Good Night Vienna is like a better album than Abbey Road, I think.
Good Night.
I'm purposely picking a decent Ringo album.
I know. I think Good Night Vienna may be his best album. I know everybody argues that Ringo is
definitely
album.
Better, but okay. Yeah, it's better. You're wrong.
But
about
anyway,
this. Don't get me started. You're wrong.
The Ringo's 80th match was a good time, though. I had fun watching that.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I liked the hosted segments the most. Like
Yes, those are the best.
He was like pretty funny. He was like very charming, classic Ringo.
There was a part that Mel and I watched over and over again.
Let me guess what it was.
Okay.
Was it the Joe Walsh performance?
No, the Joe Walsh performance is incredible, though. The fact that he's like, Joe Walsh comes on out of, like, in the middle of the show as, like, Ed McMahon, like, to, like, Ringo's Johnny.
I know,
it's
so crazy.
Funny. It is so funny. But our favorite part, and you may have not noticed it, but it's, like, kind of towards the end of the whole show. But Ringo, it cuts back to Ringo, and he plays this, like, real simple drum beat. This boom-doon-doon crash. Sure. And then he just looks at the camera and he goes, "That's what I do."
Oh, he's the best. This is absolute. What a freak! Like an all-time freak. He's such a weirdo. Like he doesn't get enough credit for being like one of the great rock and roll weirdos.
Yeah,
like first of all, this guy like literally was like blacked out for 15 years straight. Like I don't think people realize that. Like 70s and early 80s Ringo like is like fucking. Like, John was blacked out for, like, 2 years in the 70s. And then he, mostly got his life together. And but Ringo, that extended for, like, a full, like, 15 years post-Beatles. And, like, it's just, like, I don't know. It's just crazy to me. And, like, you think of Ringo as, like, the least dark rock star of all time,
I know, right?
And I'm not saying he's, like, I'm not even, like, he seems like a very, like, I don't mean, like, dark, but, like, he was just, like, so gone, like, for, like, such a long time. It's just so weird. And, like, the fact that, like, his brother-in-law is Joe Walsh is also so funny. Joe Walsh is such like an all-time weird. I like think about have you seen the Eagles documentary?
No, I haven't.
It's so funny. First of all, it's just filled with like the most maniac, like egotistical rock star bullshit of all time. Like Don Henley literally at one point like. This is, by the way, this was made in 2013, so he's soberly looking back on his career. And he says, totally seriously, he says, "We were stuck between the American dream and the American nightmare." This isn't like some coked out footage from the 70s where he says this. He's saying it like present day, basically. And then Joe Walsh, when he joins the band, he's just like, I was just like, we're playing in a rock and roll band. Let's have some fun, yeah. And like, it's so funny. Like, it's such a weird movie. Oh my god.
Oh, which is pretty much his whole performance in the 80th birthday spectacular. Is just.
Oh yeah, no, he was and he sings "Boys," which is great, classic. Yeah, like that's a classic. Ringo performance of that song. Yes,
it is. Yes, and during the music video too, he's on green screen, and it's this like old movie footage of police like chasing a dog, and there's like
it's so
like
weird.
Maybe 30 cops chasing a dog. But
so strange. It's
Joe
Walsh like he'll like pop in from like every side of the screen.
Yeah.
So crazy.
There's only shot from one angle, and he has this giant microphone stand that's sitting in front of him the entire time, too.
Oh, man. I love it.
Yeah. So Ringo's 80th was a good time.
Happy birthday to Ringo.
Happy birthday, Ringo.
What a character.
And I got one final thing to talk about, and we can go deep into it if you want to, Tim. But, I watched Phantom of the Megaplex.
Oh! Yes! Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So, should we get in... I mean, if people haven't seen the movie, the plot, of course, is that there's... I mean, we may have discussed this in the previous episode.
Ran it
but
over
a major movie premiere happening in a small-town megaplex. And, so they got to get the place ready. And, of course, all these crazy things keep happening.
And yeah, like the Megaplex was built on the grounds of an old, like, fashion theater that's been knocked down. And so there's, like, a whole story that there's, like, a phantom from the old theater that haunts the Megaplex.
Right, and of course then there's Movie Mason.
Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney.
Just one of the great characters.
He shows up. he gives him a schedule every week because he like thinks he still works there. They throw his schedule out every week, but he still hangs around the place. So and then of course there's a phantom in the Megaplex, and you got to figure out who it is. Now I don't. When it's finally revealed, I don't quite buy it. Because I don't understand how like this character had like enough time to like.
No, it doesn't make sense. And he also gets like he doesn't get punished at all. Like he just gets he gets to like go to Hollywood and make a movie out of his story. Because the director wants to make a movie out of it.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, Phantom of the Megaplex.
Do you think that director, like, by the way, the movie seems to be like kind of like a third tier Jurassic Park knockoff, but the director, like the way he acted, I think they were trying to go for like a G-rated Quentin type thing. like, do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly what
you're
saying.
Just, like, it's so funny. Like he's just like, oh yeah, it's so cool. Like he like kept saying like stuff, and he was like waving his arms around. And I was just like, oh, this is very like late '90s Tarantino interview vibes. Yeah, it was very funny.
Oh, and then so I'm trying to think of like. Oh, the whole plot with the parent, like the mom and like the boyfriend, and how like the kids love the boyfriend and want him to like propose.
I know.
And of course, like he proposes at the end, and oh, it's so funny. He's
love
like, well,
the
I
mom.
don't have a.
And the mom, that's when she mentions LeVar Burton and Katie Sagal.
Yes.
Imagine if those were like the biggest celebrities at your big Hollywood premiere.
I know, right?
Not that impressive.
No. I mean, it'd still be impressive to see them in person.
Oh, I would be... listen, I would faint if I saw LeVar.
I mean, we went to the mall when Freddie from iCarly was there, so, I mean,
I did not... let me make it clear to the listeners. You and another friend of ours insisted on going to the mall when Freddie from iCarly was there. I had no interest, didn't care at all. I've never even watched that show, even a second of it. And then, didn't our one friend, like, you guys brought up not waiting in line because it was so long with preteen girls. We had just graduated from college, I believe, at this point.
Yes, we did.
And I think I think our friend who's been on the show, Sam, he brought along a copy of Babe Pig in the City, which supposedly this kid did a voice in. Which I don't even know if there's actual proof of that, or if it's just he shares a name with a voice actor or something. But that would be great, because Babe Pig in the City is a fucking rad movie, a great movie. So yeah, if I could have talked to him about that experience, that's. I would have gladly waited in line, but I don't think I didn't wait in line. You guys waited.
We didn't.
Yeah.
We left.
Well, you guys waited for a while, and I just walked around the mall with the other person we were with. So it was like, it was no, like, because I was just like, I'm not waiting in this line with a bunch of 12-year-old girls at the fucking mall. Anyway. Okay, so classic story from our lives.
Phantom of the Megaplex. Yeah. So that's a solid. I mean, it was fun.
It was fun. I had a good time with it. I mean, it's a DC. It's a Disney Channel original movie, so it's not like there's a certain ceiling that like is always going to be on those. But
Movie Mason though is incredible.
Yeah, that monologue that I put the clip in for the episode, like.
That monologue is moving.
It's a great, it's great. I was like so emotional watching it. I was like, it actually was like really emotional because I was just thinking like, I haven't been to a movie theater in 4 months, and like I love the movies. Mm-hmm. It made me very emotional. So
that speech is right up there with Keanu. I love movies.
Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them. And I love making them. Just incredible stuff. Anyway.
Oh, we need to make a compilation sometime of just like clips of people talking about their love of movies. We should make a movie about people talking about how much they love movies. Just a whole movie of inspirational movie quotes.
Speaking of the podcast Blank Check, they have a big thing they reference from like the 2004 Oscars where Sean Connery opened the thing talking about the movies. And then he like says it like "the movie," and it is very funny. Like I'll send you the clip later.
Okay.
And it's like I bought a mug from them. That's just the whole speech on the mug. It's so good. Anyway, all right.
Anyway, we've been talking for almost 24 minutes now. We should get into this book.
All right, yeah. So when we get back, we will be talking. We'll be delving back into the Galaxy of Fear. So stay tuned.
Ghost of the Jedi.
Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim.
And I'm Levi. I had to introduce myself.
I normally don't do that. I'm sorry. We're recording this vaguely late for me, so yeah. Anyway, this week we're back in Galaxy of Fear, and it's Ghost of the Jedi, the 5th book in the series by John Whitman, once again. And I have to say, we alluded to this earlier. We had read the first 4 of these books back in October, which feels like it was about roughly 13 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a struggle at the very beginning for me to remember all the details of the series, but John Whitman, it's something I might have criticized another book for. John Whitman does a very good job just recapping endlessly in the first several chapters, which I needed, so I appreciated it.
I did too. I did too.
But
what I will say about John is, I don't think John is as talented as, say, Jude is, but I think John's one of our more talented writers. Like, this book, like, is well written, and I feel like but it reads for like a 10-year-old in a way that a Jude Watson book doesn't.
Jude Watson's are more of a more for 14-year-olds. So.
Yeah. This feels more age appropriate, I guess I would say, in terms of like how it's written, but it's written well in my opinion. So
I agree.
I have no
it's
issue
totally
with
solid. If in case listeners don't remember, Galaxy of Fear is a series about a brother and sister, Tash and Zach. What's their last names? Andala?
Aranda?
Aranda, yes. They're 2 orphans from the planet Alderaan. Their parents died, and they were left in the care of their uncle, Hoole. And if you remember, Hoole was I don't remember the species name.
He's a Shido.
A Shido, which is a shape-shifting species. He was married into the family uncle. And he seems kind of like maybe he's a shady guy. Like, if you remember, Tash is communicating with somebody online. An online holonet person who calls themselves Force Flow, who's telling her all about the Jedi, and she's getting all these ideas like, oh, maybe I'm a Jedi. And Zach's really into like extreme sports, so anyway, they've been through a bunch of little like horror-tinged missions, and this guy cannot pronounce his first name. I tried so hard. Gog, right, is the last name. It's impossible.
Borigamus. God.
Borigamus would sounds good, but then you look at the actual spelling, it's like, I don't think that's how you say it.
No.
But Gog has been the villain of the series thus far. He is a lackey of the Emperor. He's has some sort of connection to Hoole. He's also
a Shido.
Also a Shido, and this book opens with him being lectured by Darth Vader for fucking up another mission. Because he fucks
Project Starscream.
Project Starscream, which is still vague what the intentions of are, I believe.
Right. It's a big multi-stage project that we know of. First stage, of course, being Devourin, the planet that eats people.
Yes.
A whole planet, the first part.
That's the first book.
So the second part would have been the zombies. So that would... And then the third part was... What's the third book?
I don't know.
I don't know either. And then Hologram Fun World was somehow phase 4 of this. But anyway, we know Phase 5 is coming. It's somehow Force-related. And Vader, he is not pulling any punches. He knows that Hoole and his lovable band of misfits are up to no good. They're going to screw up Project Starscream. So he has hired an assassin to track them down and kill them. Now, Gog, of course, is not happy about this, so he knows that Tash may have some Force powers, some Force sensitivity, and he needs that. So that's how this book kind of starts off.
And then
so anyway,
we move back to our heroes, Tash and Zach and Hoole and their droid DV.
Yep.
And Hoole's like, oh, we gotta go to Tatooine because I gotta visit Jabba the Hutt. So he has to visit Jabba the Hutt, and this obviously concerns Tash because she's like, I know who Jabba the Hutt is. He sucks. He's a bad guy, and my uncle knows him. Like they seem to have worked together before. That's weird. And so
they seem to be boys. Yeah,
or if not boys, like at least associates.
Well, not boys, but they have some sort of history. This scene reminded me of like something out of like John Wick, where like Hoole walks in and he's like, I need a favor, and then like Jabba's like, well, if I give you a favor, then you owe me a favor.
Oh man, the next John Wick movie, he should have a big fight in Jabba's palace. That's a great setting for a John Wick fight.
That would be great. It would be. Him and Jabba, like, because think of Keanu speaking Huttese. Like, he would speak perfect Hutt, like, without a doubt.
My bookie. On my bookie. Anyway, so, and like, basically, he makes him this deal that he wants information about where the rebel base is because they want to find a safe haven and to hide away from the Empire. And Jabba's like, even I don't know where the rebel base is. Obviously, I would have given that information to the Empire for a quick buck. Nice try. I don't care about the Rebel Alliance. And so, what Jabba does tell Hoole is that there's in the system. What's the system? Air.
The RLs.
Yeah,
the
RL system. The RL system. Well, I don't know. The R.L. Stein system.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So there apparently has been some activity there.
And that's all the information they get.
But like Hoole then owes Jabba for that. So they start. Hoole's like, I don't think we need to go there. Like that seems like a waste of time. Like, what do we do? What do we do? And then like Tash is like, we can contact my boy Force Flow on the HoloNet.
Force Flow.
And so HoloNet is she fires up the HoloNet, contacts him, asks him, if he knows a safe place to hide out from the Empire, and Force Flow immediately responds. Immediately, he gets super thirsty. Immediately responds, and he's just saying like, he's just like, yes, I do. Come to the RL system. So Hoole's like, actually, two different, seemingly wildly different people have told us to go here. Like, maybe we should check it out. So they head there.
Yes.
It is an empty star system. Nobody lives there, apparently. But there is a big space station. What's it called?
Yes, it's called Nepsis 8.
Yes.
And it was built by the Jedi as neutral territory where scientists from anywhere, even if they're from warring systems, could come and research together.
Yeah, so
and spread their knowledge.
I guess
of the
separatist scientists. This obviously was written.
Separatists, New Republic scientists, they could come together.
Yeah, written by before the prequels, of course. But
yes. Yes, but apparently on Nepsis 8, there was also the Jedi Library.
Yeah, this is a huge deal for us. I have to say, I recorded the intro for this episode before I read the book. I found the back cover, and I recorded it. And when I read the words Jedi Library, I like had to re-record the bit because I was like, I chuckled. I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was a great shock. So anyway, they get there, and there's apparently this Jedi Library. We'll get to that in a second, but they meet. It first seems like a deserted place. Tash goes looking for her internet boyfriend? Question mark.
Force flow.
Force flow. And then somebody grabs, or at least puts their hand on her shoulder.
Cliffhanger. Chapter
cliffhanger, and she then turns around, and it's the most beautiful.
Wait, let me read it. Let me read it. All right. All right. Tash winced, expecting to see someone or something horrible. Instead, she found herself looking up at the most handsome man she had ever seen. His hair was dark as a midnight sky. His blue eyes twinkled as brightly as stars. His face was creased as if it was from years of care and softened only by a dark mustache. He carried himself confidently. He reminded Tash of the gambler Lando Calrissian, but he lacked that roguish air of a con man. Force Flow.
I doubt there's no way that Force Flow is more handsome than Lando.
I agree. There's no way.
There's no one more handsome than Lando in the entire Star Wars franchise.
There's a character on the cover of this book who, like, it might be Force Flow, but there's no mustache on it, so I don't know who, like, it could be. Oh, unless it's the Ghost. Never mind. We'll get into the Ghost.
So, we'll get into the Ghost, but honestly, I thought Force Flow was a ghost when I first...
Okay.
And so, I was, like, getting ready to, like go really hard, and I was like, maybe I'll make a Ghost Rider sketch about Force Flow. You remember Ghost Rider? Did you watch that show as a kid?
Ghost Rider.
Rider.
No, I don't.
No. Ghost Rider is incredible. So, Ghost Rider is this PBS show that was made in New York City, like I think in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, in the early 90s. One of the coolest kids shows of all time. Like, straight up. It's about, like, there's this ghost that helps these kids solve mysteries by like, and he can only communicate through written words. So like, say like the magnet letters, like he can rearrange them, or words on a computer screen, like it written out words. He can rearrange letters and stuff, and give clues to these mysteries. And the show is just super cool. It's like was shot in New York, like, and it's just awesome. Like it rules. Samuel L. Jackson plays one of the characters' dads. Mm-hmm. Like this is from like early 90s, so like when Sam Jackson was like a bit player in Spike Lee movies, like right before Pulp Fiction, basically. So it's like incredible stuff. Just a great show. So I mean, it's just a heads up to anybody. I think I heard there was a reboot on like Apple or something, but who cares? I don't know.
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
Sad that new Tom Hanks movie went there too. So.
Oh yeah, well, that movie. Like there are some movies that like they're not going to be able to release every movie that was scheduled during the.
Right.
Yeah, like some of these are going to have to go straight to VOD or something.
Right.
So.
They got to make. They can't sit on the money any longer. Come on.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Probably made more on the sale to Apple than it would have made in theaters, I would say.
Probably.
Because Apple is desperate for content. So.
Well, you heard, like, I mean, all of these streaming services are desperate. Do you hear what Disney paid, like, the Hamilton guy to stream?
Yeah,
Hamilton?
but they paid that, like, 2 years ago. That was for the theatrical rights.
Ridiculous amount.
Yeah, well, it's like one of the most popular things in the world.
Yeah.
It's not a ridiculous. It's actually not all that much, frankly, compared to what is like what it would have made in theaters. I feel like it would have made like twice as much as that.
Speaking of Disney paying people, a fact I heard recently about the George Star Wars buyout, I didn't know. So it was $4 billion. Yeah. They gave him $2 billion in cash.
Yeah, and the rest was stocks, right?
Yeah, the rest is
so
stocks.
It's like so much more. It's crazy. Whatever. It's like
it is so much.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why $4 billion was a pretty lowball figure, honestly, for Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. Not that, like, you know what I mean. Anyway, so
George. Yeah.
So
anyway, so they find Force Flow, and Force Flow, he is convinced that this Jedi library that's on this in Nepsis 8 that holds all of the knowledge of the Jedi is the key to figuring out how to defeat Project Starscream. But the rumor is that long ago Nepsis 8 fell to the Dark Jedi, and they put a curse on the library, and that only a Jedi can enter the library. So all these treasure hunters have come looking for the library. They've come and gone. They haven't been able to find the treasure.
So there's a bunch
of
the treasure hunters there.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all looking for the library. One of them thinks they found it. Then they, like, disappear. It's all mysterious, and it's picked off one by one. Listen, a lot of scenes in this, but not a lot of incident, I would say. So like,
there's not.
They basically get picked off one by one, all these treasure hunters and thrill seekers, and Tash is, like, struggling because she thinks she might. She remember earlier in the series she thought she might be a Jedi, but in the last book, like, she, like, didn't feel anything during some dangerous section. I
think what happened, I could be completely misremembering this, but in one of the holograms at Hologram Fun World, she, like, had a lightsaber, but, like, she didn't have, like, she couldn't wield it, and that's what convinced her that, like, she's not a Jedi. So she's and, like, there's some, like, also the other rumor is that, like, only somebody, like, strong in the Force could enter the library, all this stuff. So she's like, can I do this? I don't know. And of course, the whole time, Force Flow... By the way, Force Flow won't give his real name. So Force Flow is, kind of like... Just like... is kind of like negging her the whole time, and like she like he's just like, oh well, like if you don't think you have the Force, like I don't know, like I thought maybe you would, but who knows? I guess not, like and so there's so Zach thinks that one of the I can't remember the name of the bounty hunter or not bounty hunter. Yeah, his name is Danik.
Oh,
he thinks he saw this.
Danik Jericho. Hunter.
Yes, Danik.
Great name.
He thought he saw him at Jabba's palace, and of course, since all these treasure hunters are going missing, they think it's him. Well, there's this other treasure hunter whose name is Damasari, a female, and she's from Corellia, not important, but she says, hey, I know something about, like, where all these people are going, meet me by the Jedi library. So, because they do find the library, but anyway, they go to the Jedi library, and when they get there, they see Danik, and he has these tentacles shoot out of his cheeks, and they go into that Damasari's nose, and he kills her. And they're just like, oh shit, Danik is the killer, so they run from him, and they end up going into a garbage chute, and there's a trash compactor scene, basically, with a Dianoga, and then they escape that, because they find out that if you walk real slow through the water, it won't trigger the Dianoga. He won't see them, the water's too murky or something, I don't know. And then they end up there. From there, they end up in a lab where all these people are cryogenically frozen. And they don't know what that's about. So then they... what happens then? Then they go find Uncle Hoole. Oh, and then... Oh, Uncle Hoole's in the library. And he apparently had a book in his hand, and he's dead.
Yeah, so... At this point, what is going on? And also, remember, Tash has been hearing... a voice this whole time, just calling out her name, just saying Tash, no details,
and get out.
So she finally tries to go into the library, and she's looking at the bookshelf, and she sees something like the History of the Jedi, Volume 1 or some shit, and she like pulls it out, and then like the voice gets super strong, like, no, and, like, drop it, and then she sees him. She sees a ghostly image of a character named...
Aiden Bach.
Aiden Bach, who is apparently the guardian of this library, and who was murdered by Darth Vader many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably like right after Order 66. Since we're going to try to actually place this in the continuity.
I would think so. I mean, that makes sense. So this ghost, he can't become one with the Force because he blames himself for failing at his job. So that's why Aiden's still there,
and
tormenting the book.
But Aiden also reveals that all these people that are dead. By the way, Hoole and Zach also died from opening books.
We missed a part where it was revealed that Danik is in the room where Hoole and DV is deactivated, and they're like, "Oh my God, you killed them!" And Danik's like, "I didn't kill them. Like, I only killed one person here, and it was that other character. She was an assassin hired by Darth Vader to kill you. Yes. I'm an assassin who was hired
to protect
to protect
her,
you guys."
Basically. And he killed her. So, anyway, but all these characters died because of the book. They opened the book, it sucks their essence out. It's what's it called? It's literally called like an essence sucker or something. It's like literally called an essence something. Sucker, not sucker, but like...
Right. And Zach pulls a book and he kills himself. So it's basically, it's just Tash, and she goes to Force Flow, and he's like, well, what can I do? And he's like, maybe since you're a Jedi, you could pull one of those books off the shelf. You know, the curse doesn't affect you.
And that's when she meets...
You can resurrect them.
That's when she meets Aiden, the ghost. And Aiden the ghost tells her about, his sad story, but also that, like, there's no curse, none of this. It's just that Gog, right? Gog has set up this essence sucker of some sort. And like it goes through the books. So essentially, like, people's souls are being separated from their bodies, but the souls are still in storage.
Yes, the people aren't actually dead; they're cryogenically frozen. But Gog's whole plan is that, like, he wants to capture, like, the essence of the Force, and of course, Tash would be that. Which then it's revealed that Force Flow is Gog.
Yeah, and has been the whole time.
Has been the whole time.
Just pure, like, catfish shit. Like,
somebody get Neve Schulman on the phone. We need MTV to investigate this right now.
If you had the time, I would say you need to make a catfish sketch involving this, but no pressure on you.
But there is. Hang on, let me see if I can't find it, because there is, like, this is like the catfish moment of it, where, like, they confront the catfish and they're like, "Am I the only person you've done this to?" Yeah. And then they say something super fucked up. So, and so this is it. So Tash felt like her heart had suddenly frozen. "You made me think Force Flow was a hero. You befriended me." "You?" Gog chuckled. "Yes, I did." Tash felt her frozen heart break into pieces, and Gog laughed. "Don't feel bad. You weren't the only one. I did the same to dozens of people. Once I made contact with them through the HoloNet, I lured them to Nepsis 8, where I could trap them in this library." So
we're all trapping
people like crazy.
We're trapping all of our listeners in this library.
Oh, yeah.
We are your evil overlords. So.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, and so that's revealed, and Gog, like, then
she lures him into the trash compactor. He gets attacked.
Oh yeah, there's this whole trash compactor sequence, by the way, that's like, like, there's even a Dianaga, and like it's very similar. And this was with Zach. This is earlier in the book. We skipped over this, but. Anyway, so she lures Gog into the trash compactor, throws him down a big reactor shaft. He's dead. She revives everybody using the soul sucker or whatever it's called, and then
she reverses the soul sucker. Oh, big moment there. She has to like pull this lever because the ghost of Aiden knows how the machine works, so he's telling her how to do it. Gog pulls out his blaster and goes to shoot her, and DV does a soul sacrifice, and he like jumps in front of the blaster bolt. So that's fun.
Props to DV. So we all love digital video. We all love mini DV.
There's I know you don't really care for Tim and Eric, but
I don't dislike them. I just
okay. Well, watch their Christmas special sometime, the Crimbus special, because there's this character named DV, and he's like kind of like this hairy, not quite like an he's like a cross between like an Ewok and Ugnaught, if that makes any sense. Sure. But he has like a laser disc on his stomach. But they call him DV.
That's fun. I like that.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I have my old mini DV camera right here. Actually, it's right here. Actually, it's a high 8 camera. Never mind.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
damn.
So. Lost the power cord for it like 6 months after I got it, and never used it again.
Damn, you could shoot Inland Empire with that thing?
I think they shot on mini DV.
Okay, yeah.
High 8 is, I don't know if any like major director ever shot a movie on high 8. I mean, there's documentaries and stuff, but like outside of that. Anyway,
happy ending. They get away.
Actually, maybe Bamboozled, the Spike Lee movie, might be on high 8. I'll look into it later.
Okay.
I'll
get back to
us
on that. We need to know. They get away. Happy-ish ending, I guess. And then Vader shows up after all of this happens, and Vader's of course pissed because the Hoole and the gang screwed it up again. But however, he feels a disturbance, something alive at the bottom of a reactor shaft. So we kind of learn that Gog isn't dead.
Yeah, well, he's obviously the main villain of the series. So
right.
And then. Yeah, no, that's it. So
that's it.
Yeah, this was a fun return. Like, I didn't think this book was all that great, honestly, but like, there's, I do kind of like the vibe, and this era of Star Wars like fiction is interesting to me. Because it was right before the prequels, so it's like still kind of a totally different era than what we normally cover on the show. Obviously, there's like Jedi Prince, but that's like its own bullshit. Like so this is like I'm looking forward to reading like Young Jedi Knights because that's a similar era. Like I'm just talking about publishing era. Obviously, it's a different era in terms of the timeline, but no. So that's part's fun. John Whitman's a fine writer. I like the characters. I just think that this was a fairly unremarkable adventure. Mm-hmm. Ghost of the Jedi. I was getting like. I thought the title sounded interesting. And when it was just like kind of like one like poor librarian, like not Jocasta knew. It was kind of a bummer, but It's not bad. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10, something like that.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go that way too. It's not like below. It's not like a 5 or below. It's a better like if 5's the midway, then it's like a hair better than that. I thought the end of the book was fun. Like I thought the end of the book was
the climax was I thought pretty exciting. I just thought there was a lot of like
there's a lot of fluff in
a lot of like these characters, like these treasure hunters they introduced that like we don't know anything about or care about at all, and like that like the whole like trash compactor sequence with Tash and Zach was like totally pointless and was just a total rehash of the scene from New Hope. I like was kind of like appalled by that, frankly. But yeah, no, it's okay. By the way, when I pulled out my high 8 camera from behind me, it stuck to the bottom was my ticket stub for Premium Rush from the last day at the at the Dollar Theater where I used to work and where I grew up going to movies. It was the last movie I ever saw. There was Premium Rush, a film by David Koepp, the writer of Jurassic Park and Spider-Man and The Shadow. Really good movie, by the way. Like, actually, like...
That's the one with Lovett, right?
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's a
yeah.
bike messenger, and Michael Shannon's like an evil mob boss is chasing after him. And Michael Shannon's fucking wild in it.
Well, Michael Shannon just has that look that like you would just be afraid of him if you saw him in person.
So like I'm also watching Boardwalk Empire right now, and Michael Shannon on that show is giving one of the fucking craziest performances. He's playing like a prohibition officer, and he's like the most like straight arrow, like at least acting guy. Like it's so fun. Like it's such a funny performance. Anyway, so yeah, what did you think?
The end of the book's good, and there's a lot of fluff leading up to it. As usual, we agree.
Yeah,
I was hoping for more. The Vader is on the cover of this book. I was hoping for more Vader.
I'm wondering how much they overpromised Vader throughout, because he's on a few of the covers.
He is on a few of the covers. Well, especially the clones cover, which we're a long way away from it, but like that cover has him battling himself on the cover, so that has a lot of promise, that one.
Yeah. But I think I'm just happy to take a little break from Jude just for a week and go back to this. I'm looking forward to our little excursions back into the galaxy of fear.
I am too, because the next one is going to be Army of Terror. And let me see the cover of this one. Yep, there's... this cover actually has Vader holding Tash and Zach.
Oh, so that better happen in the movie.
That better happen in the book, and then this big alien...
That alien looks like... Did you ever read that book, like my teacher, my substitute teacher is an alien or whatever? Do you remember that?
I do remember
like that. Looks like that, like kind of art. I love that. Anyway, next week, though, we're returning to Last of the Jedi, and we're going to read book number 3, Underworld, right here. And, I'm looking forward to that. It has one of the worst covers in the history of this podcast, I'll say that.
Yes, and it certainly does. I have a lot to say
we'll
about
talk
this
about
cover.
that next week. But
yes, and we'll get into the artist of said cover. Is it John Fleet?
Yeah.
Yep, John Van Fleet.
So, in the meantime, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Padawan Library. Email us, padawanlibrary@gmail.com. You can keep doing that, because then we can do a mailbag episode. But in the meantime, there's not going to be an outro, our regular outro this week, because I used different music at the top, and the music was royalty free. I can't remember the artist. Shouts to them though for the royalty free music. And shouts to Freddie Fun Buns for our artwork. And this is copyright 2020. Me, Tim May, and you, Levi Paratic.
Yes.
And
until the books are due back.
the Padawan Library and this Jedi Library are closed.
We don't know where he came from.
He just showed up one night.
What is that thing?
He's not an alien.
What is he?
We think he might be a ghost.
Be serious. He wants to be friends with us. But he can't hear and he can't talk. He can read anything.
He takes letters and he writes with them.
We're the only ones who can see him. That means he wants you on the team.
You have to promise never to tell anybody about Ghost Rider.
Hey, cool. We're the Ghost Rider team.
We check our clues and solve mysteries.
He's a ghost and he writes to us. Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. What a trip.